Hello makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? I am super excited for this video because I wanted to share with y'all some indie makeup products that are just as good, if not better, than comparable high-end products on the market. I do feel like there's a lot of people out there that think if I go to Sephora, if I spend $50 on this product, it's gonna be worth my money, it's gonna be the best of the best, but that is not always the case. And that is not the case with the products that I'm gonna be talking about today. So let's go ahead and jump on in. I'm gonna start off with the Auric Glow Lust in the shade Morganite, but this is the old version of Morganite. And originally I did think of including this as a product that is better than high-end makeup, even though it is expensive. It's not super affordable, but it gets compared to the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter all the time, the Hollywood Glow one. And I just think that this is the far superior product because all of the shades are so good. They're just so much more natural. They don't look golden. They don't look like a highlighter. They look like actual skin tone shades. And even this one, not being the lightest shade that's available now because there's a new Morganite, is way lighter than the one that's available from Charlotte Tilbury. Which is why I've never purchased the Charlotte Tilbury one, because the shade range literally would not work for me. I have swatched it, I've tried to sample. It's pretty, but it's just so much more like of an artificial glow versus the Auric Glow Lust. Auric is an influencer owned brand, but I believe that they do have a partner, so it's not technically independently owned, but it's still a great product nonetheless. And I just figured we're doing our makeup together, may as well start off with that. I'm gonna go into the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Serum Skin Tint because I don't have a product for like an indie brand base product that's better than high end. This is one of those products that's like in the middle of both categories because it is an indie brand, but it's also sold at Sephora and it's just so good. This is my favorite skin tint. It's funny, like I feel like in general when it comes to videos like this and when I'm comparing indie makeup with base makeup with foundation, that's normally the category that I always just don't really have much to talk about. I have tried foundations from smaller indie brands, but I've just never been super impressed. Nothing to like rave about. I think it's just a much harder product to do really well if you have the budget of a small brand. So next we need to talk about one of my absolute favorite products of this year. This is the Thread Beauty Cover It Multi-Use Complexion Fluid, and I have the shade 01 Fair Neutral. This is literally such a good product. I'm so mad that I just have not seen people trying this because it is so good. I don't know why everyone is sleeping on it. It's literally available at Target and it's only $8. They have a pretty good shade range, and this concealer is just delivering the absolute most when it comes to being glowy, lightweight, just like that perfect like medium coverage concealer. It's definitely not full coverage, but if you like to have a little bit of coverage, you like to have a glow underneath the eyes, you want your under eyes to look healthy, then that is what this concealer is all about. And I feel like it is beating out so many high-end concealers that I have. Sometimes when I want it to be a little bit more full coverage, I will go in with a under eye corrector underneath. But even by itself, hopefully you guys can see, it is just so pretty. The concealer I thought I would compare this to is the Tarte Shape Tape Radiant. Not because this is like an amazing product, more because I feel like the thread concealer is what I wanted this to be. So Tarte came out with the Radiant version and it's very low coverage and like it has a little glow to it, but I don't know, in my opinion, it's just like at that point, like why even wear concealer when it just doesn't really do anything for you? I feel like it just like illuminates my under eye bags. So originally I thought that this was gonna be like Shape Tape where it had like a decent amount of coverage, you know, maybe not as much as Shape Tape, but like coverage. And I thought it was gonna be glowy, and I feel like that's exactly what this is at an even better price, and it's just so good, so pretty, so creamy. So now jumping into brows, I just have to talk about the Mad For You Brows Palette from City Grace. This is the shade Blonde, and this is honestly just such a good product. I feel like I had to mention it because for years I have shopped in Sephora, I've shopped in Ulta, I have looked for the perfect eyebrow product for natural red hair, and I just feel like everything that was marketed towards redheads was very, very red, like fake, like Ariel mermaid red, and then like products that were for blondes were a little bit more on like the cool tone, like ashy gray side. And I just feel like I never found that perfect in between. I was always mixing things, or I just felt like whatever product I was using, like it worked, but like my eyebrows didn't necessarily match my hair. You can see I have the Anastasia taupe shade right here. Like I used it for years, don't get me wrong, but I was never like 1000% obsessed with the color the way that I am this blonde eyebrow palette, because like, yeah, you have your like neutral kind of like light blonde shades, but all of the other tones in here are more on the warm side without being like orange. And I haven't really used strawberry a bunch. You can see like I haven't dipped into that, but honey and ash are just so beautiful. I feel like the formula is really good. Like it's not too pigmented. It gives me a little wiggle room to kind of put my shade down and move it around, get it right where I want it. It's just perfect for someone who has more full brows. I don't know that it would work, you know, the best for someone who's like drawing in all of their hairs. I feel like for me, this is more just enhancing what I already have. It's funny because it is something I received in PR that I probably would not have purchased myself. I would have just been like, oh, like it's an eyebrow palette, cool. Like don't really need that. Like I just use whatever I have. Like I'm just very like minimalist when it comes to my eyebrows. Now 100% if anything happened to it, I would be running to the Sydney Grace website to replace it. I actually have two different blushes to mention that I feel like the indie version is just as good, if not better, than the high-end version. One is cream and one is powder, so we're gonna just layer both of them. I recently purchased the Afterglow liquid blush in the shade Wanderlust from NARS after just having hard eyes for this for the longest time. Every time I'd go into Ulta, I would swatch it, but it was definitely a pretty penny. It's like $32, I believe, and it's just like the most beautiful soft purple shade. So I'll show you what it looks like swatched out. And I do like this. Like I don't want to make it seem like I don't. I'm happy that I was able to try it. I will continue to use it. It's just such a pretty shade. It has like a really soft kind of glowy appearance, but it is very sheer. So just kind of blending it out real quick. I went in with a decent amount. I feel like when I add it on my cheeks, I always feel the need to add more. And like it's pretty, but I don't know that it's like 100% worth the price. I really wanted to try it just because I thought the color was unique, but I have something very similar from Glossier. This is the Cloud Paint in the shade Wisp, and I do like the packaging of the NARS blush better than the Cloud Paint, but just to show you, I feel like the Cloud Paint is very, very similar in shade, and it's way more pigmented. Like I used less product and it just goes further, and it's like half the price even if you're paying full price. I'm pretty sure that I ended up getting this on sale and I got these for like $12 each or something like that. So I mean, you can just see the difference. Like there's NARS, there's Glossier. This purple is just so much more intense. You can use just a little bit and that's all you need. I'm kind of actually just using what's left over on my hand from swatching it. Like look how beautiful. That perfect like purpley pink shade. Like both shades are stunning, but between these two, if I was going to recommend one, it would be the Glossier blush. I didn't want to do like full comparison, like one side high end, one side indie, just because I didn't have like exact perfect coordinating products for everything. But hopefully this is still helpful. So I'm going to go in with a decent amount and then just tap that into the skin. You can see it for sure. Like I said, it has a nice glow, but more subtle. Okay, next we're talking luxury here because I have the Dior Backstage Rosy Glow Blush, and I do love this. Like I think it is such a beautiful soft pink. It really, really got me into these type of blushes. and I definitely purchased it because of the hype. It went viral, everyone was talking about it, and I was just like, okay, I need to try this blush out. And it's beautiful. Again, kind of same vibes, like just very cool toned, soft, baby pink. Do a little swatch. It's more on the subtle side, but you can definitely build it up. So this is one where I'm saying the dupe is as good. I don't feel like one is doing better than the other, but the price of the dupe is definitely better. So this is the Kaleidos blush, and I believe that the shade is Dreamscape. It's really frustrating that with this like new packaging from Kaleidos, they don't put the names on there. Not helpful at all. But look at the shade. Like, it is super, super similar. And I also feel like the formula is similar, where it's just like a soft, kind of creamy, matte, like just dreamy blush. So there is Kaleidos and there is Dior. You can see the Kaleidos is just a little bit more intense. And I did do a full video on pink blushes where I swatched every single one in my collection in case you're wanting to see all the comparisons. But again, like I said, I feel like the color is similar, the formula is similar, and it's just super, super pretty. So I'm adding Kaleidos on this side. I definitely don't feel like it's sheer. I think it just needs to be applied with a little bit more of a patting motion if you want it to be a little bit more intense, and then just kind of fluff around the edges. All right, now we need to talk eyeshadow, and genuinely, I feel like I could sit here all day and show you indie alternatives to high-end palettes that I think are just so much better, so much more worth your money. But this one in particular, this comparison is like honestly just tragic. So this is the Natasha Denona Pastel palette. And you guys know I do really like Natasha Denona's eyeshadow palettes. I have so many of them. Overall, I feel like they're good quality. I definitely feel like there are some that are better than others, but when it came to this pastel palette, I was so excited because I love pastel shades. I thought that it looked really pretty. I love the packaging, but the quality is just not as good on this one. I feel like the mattes in here are so subtle. They are not vibrant. I feel like you have to build them up so much to see them, and some of them are kind of chalky, and I think that a lot of people would try this palette and then just be like, oh, pastels don't work for me. But like, no, they definitely can. It's these shadows. Like, these shadows are the ones that don't work for you. And then like the shimmers, they're just not intense. Some of them are extremely hard to pick up and they just leave so much to be desired. I don't know what went wrong because normally Natasha Denona's shimmers are really beautiful. So we need to compare this to the Sickly Sweet palette from Blend Bunny, which is such a stunning pastel palette. It has really intense pastel shades, like true pastel mattes, but they are so vibrant. They show up so well, and all of the shimmers in here are super intense. So let's just do a few swatch comparisons. I think I'm gonna show you guys the shade Cupcake because there is a yellow in both palettes. And we can also do this pink right here called Cotton Candy. So here is Blend Bunny. You have to dig so hard in this yellow limoncello. It is so dry, so powdery. And then let's do Dainty. Dainty, this pink right here. So there is Natasha Denona. For the mattes, let's do the light blue and the light green. So we've got Brisk and Airy. So you can see what we're working with. So Natasha Denona. And then from the Blend Bunny palette, we're gonna do I'm Fine and Just an Act. Look on my finger, you can see how opaque they are, but they're still pastel. Like, they just look so pretty in comparison. The Natasha Denona shadows look gray. I'm just throwing on a little bit of eye primer real quick. This is the P. Louise primer, and I'm actually almost out, but I'm super excited because I ordered the new eye primer from Divina, and I'm hoping that it'll get to me soon. I'm hoping that I'll love it. So for this look, I am going to be sticking with the Blend Bunny palette. I'm gonna start off with this shade right here called Just Peachy. And like, part of me is tempted to show you on the eyes just how they compare, But then at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to have to wash this makeup off right away. And I know that the difference is just going to be a little bit too much. So just gonna go ahead and throw just peachy through my crease. Kind of going for something a little bit softer with this palette. Next, I'm gonna go into the shade Dopamine. Just throwing that in my outer V and along my lower lash line. And then I'm gonna use Cotton Candy all over my lid and onto my inner corner. I feel like I've tried so many mascaras this year, but at the end of the day, I'm just a drugstore mascara girl. Maybelline Falsies Surreal does what it needs to do. Lastly, I did want to mention the tinted lip oils from Blend Bunny. This is the shade Barely There. It's just a clear, glossy lip oil. I feel like there's so many high-end brands that have like glossy lip oils right now, and Blend Bunnies are so good, so pretty. I just don't even feel the need to purchase any other version. All right, y'all, so this is the finished look. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you tomorrow for another day of Indie Mists. Bye.